It seems to me that if the public only knew how these wrongful convictions and the abuses of the system displaced families and harmed children, they would be outraged and they would want something to be done. People take some comfort nowadays that, look, if in fact somebody's in jail for something that they didn't do, that DNA evidence is going to exonerate them, and in fact they're seeing those things on television, when in fact, unfortunately, A, DNA evidence does not always exist in a case. B, if it did, it's often destroyed before a case can be reviewed due to overcrowding in the courts. And I guess more importantly, there are so many people out there convicted based on circumstantial and very weak evidence that never get the benefit of DNA analysis or something that can exonerate them when their conviction was based upon conjecture, speculation, or hopes that they have the right person. For those people, there's no hope. They die in prison, and their families are without them forever. Throughout my career, I've watched people plead guilty for various reasons to crimes that they know they didn't commit, to crimes it's apparent to me they didn't commit, and more importantly, that the prosecution knows that they didn't commit. But because of time constraints, the amount of time they've been in jail, the amount of time they've been away from their families, they plead guilty and take the justice out of the justice system entirely. One irony that'll remain with me for the rest of my life is when we exonerated an individual after 18 years in prison based upon DNA evidence, and when he came out, his grandchildren were the age his children were when he went into prison after being wrongfully accused. There are flaws in many of the investigative techniques available. For example, when somebody gives a statement, certain law enforcement agencies refuse to record the statement and simply have two law enforcement officers present to memorialize what is said and to give their impressions of the statements that are being made. There has been legislation proposed repeatedly to just have these conversations recorded and to allow the jury to determine what somebody is saying and how they're saying it. But over and over again, the legislature refuses to pass laws requiring it, and the law enforcement agencies seem to fight this sort of procedure, which it seems to me would only make clear what was being said so that a jury could weigh the evidence. It's horrible that we can't get these things passed, and defendants are being convicted and kept in jail because of somebody's perception as opposed to what was actually said. Why somebody simply can't record the statement of a defendant or a witness as opposed to refusing to do so when the technology is available and to allow the officer to write a report is beyond me. The legislature should require recording so that everyone can hear what was said and determine why it was said and how. And sadly, the cures for these flaws exist, and they are out there, and they've been known for decades. Yet, legislators, prosecutors, and law enforcement officers refuse to implement them and refuse to level that playing field. Quite honestly, the way our system is designed can work perfectly. It's the abuses and the flaws that have worked their way into the system that cause the devastation to families and these wrongful convictions and draconian sentences. Unless and until the public demands fairness in the criminal justice system and addresses these flaws and inequities, people are going to be wrongfully convicted and families are going to be destroyed. The only way that anybody is going to make these changes and put due process back into our system is to approach the things that are being done as though they were happening to you.